Welcome back to the number one semiconductor podcast in the world. Today, we're going to take a closer look at two favorite semiconductor companies. The first one is going to be your favorite semiconductor company. You don't have to tell me it's Intel. And there have been some pretty cool updates dealing with their manufacturing push. The company also does have earnings coming out tonight, so make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button, as I will be following that later today. Now, the second company is my favorite semiconductor company, NVIDIA, which is dominating the market. And there have been some pretty cool AI updates in general that I think investors should know. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So let's start off with Intel. Right now, stock is sitting at roughly $49.30. So there are two major updates that have appeared in the past days dealing with Intel's manufacturing push. So first, on January 25th of 2024, Intel and UMC announced a new Foundry collaboration. For those that are not familiar with UMC, this is a leading global semiconductor foundry company, really much dealing with more mature nodes play. And this collaboration is actually going to help the development of 12 nanometer semiconductor process platform to address high growth markets such as mobile, communication, infrastructure, and networking solution. And some of you guys might be saying, hey, Jose, 12 nanometer, how is that kind of a collaboration? How is that kind of a push for developing these chips? Aren't we in like 3 nanometers right now and future 2 nanometers? That is true. But one thing that is happening right now is there is the creation of improvements of mature nodes like 12 nanometers and make them more niche plays, which include better margins overall. Because normally when we think of higher and bigger nodes, we kind of think of it with more of a commodity play to some extent. But something like 12 nanometer, when you kind of continue to develop it, it becomes more of a niche market to some extent. We can see it's mainly focused in that kind of mobile, that communication market, and that overall helps with better margins and eliminate that risk of kind of the commodity that many people might think of when we hear of mature nodes. And this collaboration is going to be pretty cool, right? It's going to be a win-win for both companies. It's going to be a win for Intel, right? Because it's going to increase their growth in their foundry business, and they're going to enter the new markets, like I mentioned. So that's a good win for Intel. And UMC, there are reports that UMC might even bring over some of their equipment that they might be on idle and bring it to these plants in Intel. The reason UMC wins is because UMC will be using Intel's manufacturing here in the United States. So one thing that we are seeing globally right now is where people want to buy chips that are made inland to some extent, because it helps eliminate some of that supply chain risk. So it's both a win, in my opinion, for UMC and a win for Intel. Production of the 12 nanometer is expected to begin in 2027. And some of you guys might be saying, hey, Jose, that's such a long time from now. But in the semiconductor market, right, a lot of this manufacturing plays take multi-years before they go into fruition to some extent. And obviously, if they are doing this, it's because they do see some market opportunity with this 12 nanometer and with this kind of market opportunity that they're seeing right now. So I think that was a pretty cool win for Intel. Now, Intel had another update dealing with their manufacturing. This came out yesterday on January 24th. But before we go any further, guys, if you are enjoying the episode, make sure to hit the thumbs up, the subscribe button. This is the best place you're going to find any semiconductor news. Now, Intel opens up their Fab 9 in New Mexico, and this is going to help with high volume manufacturing of 3D advanced packaging technologies. And this is very important, right? Advanced packaging technology is a way that we're going to get into this new chiplet design, into this new design of semiconductor manufacturing. So we've heard from Intel's most recent earnings, and we're most likely going to hear it in this upcoming earnings, that Intel is gaining a lot of traction and customers with their advanced packaging, with things like AI solutions and kind of AI chiplet design, like I mentioned, that goes in a lot of high performance computing chips. So Intel is really focusing on this. They just recently made a $3.5 billion investment to expand this into their three packaging technology. So overall, this does bode well, in my opinion, and this just showcases that Intel is not only focusing on the manufacturing aspects, but also the back end type of ends in the manufacturing process, which is like advanced packaging technology. And like we mentioned, they believe this is going to be a big win thanks to heterogeneous era that uses multiple chiplets in packaging. So big win there. Now, if you are curious about where Intel is going to go with their manufacturing push, stay tuned. On February 21st, Intel will launch its annual Foundry event where they talk about the future of their manufacturing and foundry services. So we obviously will cover that here, and that's about a month away. Now, the second company I want to take a closer look at is NVIDIA, ticker NVDA, for those that are living under a rock. So with NVIDIA, we actually have a few updates. The first update is U.S. National Science Foundation launches a national AI research pilot, and a company that's going to be supporting this is going to be NVIDIA. And they're going to be supporting it via hardware, via software solutions, and a lot of things. And they're going to invest, it does mention about $30 million in technology contribution over the next 2 years, with a lot, they say 10 other federal agencies. Some of those federal agencies are pretty big. For example, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Energy, the NASA, for example, as well. So in my opinions, this is a very smart play for NVIDIA. NVIDIA is like, hey, look, you guys want to enter into the AI market? Come here. We're going to give you $30 million in technology resources and technology software. And what's going to happen is the government's going to say, hey, look, it's so easy to use NVIDIA solutions. When we want to continue to invest in this market, we're most likely going to continue to invest with NVIDIA products. So I do believe it's a great way for NVIDIA to get the United States government hooked into their products. I also think this is also a way for NVIDIA to play nice, as NVIDIA is kind of facing a lot of these kind of regulation fights with the United States government. So maybe this might be a way for them to try to play nice with the United States government as well. So pretty interesting. I'm actually pretty excited about that. The other thing I want to mention is this is a big win in my opinion. Equinix, a world's digital infrastructure company, announced a fully managed private cloud service that enables enterprise to easily acquire and manage their own NVIDIA DGX AI supercomputing infrastructure for building and running custom generative AI models. So again, this is a big push for NVIDIA to continue to gain market share here in the AI space. They're partnering up with big data center co-locators, which I think is going to be a big win. But now we can see that this is another way for NVIDIA to continue to dominate in the AI market. And obviously, when you kind of get this NVIDIA's AI infrastructure, it's going to push you into NVIDIA's AI enterprise software, where again, it's going to help NVIDIA continue to improve their AI solutions, not in just the hardware, not in just the infrastructure, but also in the software side. Now, there was something pretty interesting, and this is the last thing I have for today's episode, is the FTC launches an AI inquiry into Amazon, Alphabet, and Microsoft, looking at investments and partnerships. And this is pretty interesting, right? Because one thing we are seeing is big cloud server providers partner up or make investments into kind of AI companies. And this, to some extent, I'm pretty sure this kind of FTC group is going to make sure that there's no monopoly kind of being made. There's no way of destruction of companies or competition to some extent. So this is something that's pretty interesting, right? Because some might say that Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI is kind of eliminating or creating some form of monopoly to some extent. We've seen Alphabet and Amazon and Google kind of done similar partnerships as well with other big AI players. So this is going to be an interesting move right now, and is something that I do believe AI investors should keep an eye out. Maybe the FTC chair might eventually say, hey, look, these partnerships, these investments don't bode well for competition or for a competitive market here in the United States. And we're going to have to tone that down, maybe even split up some of these partnerships. So something to keep an eye out, and something that's going to evolve over time. They just mentioned they're just starting it, but it's something, like I mentioned, to keep a closer eye on. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.